everybody. Welcome to Undisputed. We've got a great show for you today. I'm Jen Hale, and these fine-looking gentlemen are Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Hi, guys.
Good morning, Jen.
LeBron, he rested up last night for tonight's showcase at Madison Square Garden.
Did you hear what they said?
Yeah.
He got soreness in his ankle,
Yeah,
and
that's
we want
what
to
he
get on
said.
top of it.
Ankle, right?
You're a hater.
So, tonight at Madison Square Garden, could he go for 60? Could he go for 70? Could he go for Kobe? Could he go for Kobe?
Could he not even play?
Are you kidding?
Why not?
This is it.
Soreness.
This is where the stars go to shine.
Ankle soreness. He's already shined there before.
Yeah.
Dropped 50 piece.
Yeah, just like Mahomes had ankle
And then
soreness.
don't do that. Don't do that.
He looked pretty good to me.
I mean, I played with a torn MCL the entire season.
Well, he did.
Are we
But
sure about that?
He didn't complain about it.
Yeah. All he did was mention it.
Yeah, he just had surgery after the season.
Whatever.
We will get into all of the NBA action coming up, but Skip, I'm glad you brought up Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Because let's start with Super Bowl 57. As it kicks off, it's already going to be history-making. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts facing off. Guys, that is the first time ever there are two starting black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Shannon, what does this mean to you?
Well, it means that we can do a lot of jobs if given the opportunity.
Good response.
Skip, I think anytime it's the first is always important. The first time someone ran a sub 4-minute mile. The first time someone scaled Mount Everest. The first time we put man on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime the first is very important.
Yep.
Hopefully it's not the last. We've had a lot of not a lot. We've had a few black quarterbacks start and win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But never at the same time have we had two black quarterbers face off against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
You've had three win the Super Bowl. Okay.
Doug Williams did it first, I think in '87.
Yep.
And then Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson won it, and then Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
So we're about to get the fourth. We just don't know who that fourth one is. And so, Skip, I think it's common now. The NFL had a record 11 black quarterbacks start a game this season. Obviously, the Broncos and the Ravens, they have black quarterbacks, that start every single game. Justin Fields, you had Kyler Murray start, and so forth and so on, Skip. So I just think it's a testament. I don't think we're surprised that Patrick Mahomes got back. But to see where Jalen Hurts came from, lost his job at Alabama, he couldn't throw the football consistently, accurately enough, ended up transferring, got better at throwing the football, but he didn't get to the point where he felt that he could be be in this position. So he goes out, seeks help, gets help, works on his fundamental, works on his footwork, and now you see where he is. And you see the maturation process from where he was when he started at Alabama to where he left Alabama, goes to Oklahoma, to see where he is as a starter now in the NFL, Skip. He's a top 10 quarterback in my estimation. And just because you don't throw for 5,000 yards and you're not the prototypical drop back Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, that doesn't mean that you're not a top quarterback. He just does it in a different way. He's not a guy that's probably going to throw for 5,000 yards. But he'll probably throw for 4,000, have you 10 rushing touchdowns with another 500 to 600 yards rushing. So for me, Skip, I'm proud of the accomplishment. It was something that I really like, damn. When it all came together, when Mahomes finally won, I was like, damn, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. But I was like, okay, damn.
Oh.
People not making a whole lot of fuss about it because I think we see it more often than what we used to, Skip.
We do.
I remember when Doug, and it was a big deal, and they asked Doug. Doug says, hell, I always been black. It just happened to be I'm in the Super Bowl. I didn't change. I just didn't become black because I got to the Super Bowl. I've been a black quarterback. Skip, I'm just old enough to remember, and hopefully these guys, as they sit back and reflect on where they are, think about all the black quarterbacks that didn't get the opportunity that they got.
Good point.
I think that's what's important. These guys get an opportunity that a lot of guys didn't get that opportunity. They had to either switch positions. Warren Moon ended up having to go to Canada for 5 years, win 5 Grey Cups before he came back and got the opportunity to play in the league. So it just, Skip, I'm proud. I'm proud for my community. Both of these guys come from the black community. I'm proud for the National Football League that they finally wised up and realized that these men can do the job. They just needed to be given the opportunity. And I think, look, they're, from Shaq Harrison, you know Shaq, James Harris, Shaq. I know Shaq very, very well. But just to have this, Doug, but what Doug was able to do, Skip, Doug really, look, he wasn't the first, but you got to do something significant. Him winning the Super Bowl, which is the ultimate prize,
Yep.
showed that a black man had the capabilities, not only physically, but mentally, to withstand the rigors of that position, stand tall when it's all said and done. And so it was Doug that should be given the credit because he was the first, not the first black quarterback, but he was the first to win the Super Bowl. Because once he did that, they were like, well, hold on, wait a minute.
Yep.
They weren't supposed to be able to process information fast enough. They weren't supposed to be able to be mentally strong enough to withstand it. We know physically they can, but what about mentally?
Yep.
Because that is the ultimate mental position. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. I'm proud. I can assure you the community is very, very proud.
Well said. Now, let me frame my perspective with my history, because I feel like I was blessed to be, or privileged to be, or just lucky enough to be on the cusp of this, because I was working out here for the LA Times 1977, and I saw this coming, or so I thought.
Right.
It looked like Doug Williams at Grambling State University was going to be the first overall pick in the draft because he looked like he was the best quarterback in college football.
Were you already out here when Shaq was starting for the Rams?
I was, and I got to know him well, so I got both worlds.
Okay.
But I convinced the LA Times to send me to Grambling for an entire week leading up to their game at Prairie View.
Okay.
With Coach Rob, the great Eddie Robinson. And I spent much of the week around Doug Williams in his dorm room, just hanging out with him. And I was taken by his presence and his stature. What do we give Doug? 6'4", maybe? 6'4"-ish. But he was prototypical pocket thrower.
Straight drop back.
And straight drop back. And we're not talking about the classic running black quarterback.
No.
We're talking about he can do what all the white quarterback, the great ones, have always done. He can drop back and he can rocket arm it.
Yes.
And I'm saying, well, this is it.
Right.
Here it is. So I did a big blowout piece. They stripped it across the top of the sports section, both on him and then Coach Robinson. And I waited, and he fell, and he fell, and he fell in that next draft all the way down to 17th. He did go in the first round, but he did not go 1 or 2. He went all the way down to Tampa Bay at 17. And you know the rest of the story. It took a while, and he had to change teams to Washington, but 1988, so it was 11 years later, he broke through and won the first ever Super Bowl won by a black quarterback. And Doug was built to last, where he had a certain, you got to have some mental toughness to do this. I'm not saying it was Jackie Robinson, but it was in the ballpark, right?
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm going through it with Shaq Harris, the great James Harris in L.A., and this was, in some ways, even tougher because he was breaking through as a starting black quarterback, and he was under fire because you make one slight mistake, and it's like,
they boo in and they want the backup to come in.
All right, so I'm going to frame all this with the fact that as I was writing my Doug Williams piece, I called several GMs just to get the take on where's he going to go in the draft. A very prominent GM, whom I will not name, told me, to your point that you just made, that he did not think Doug Williams would be the first overall pick or even a first-round pick because the black quarterbacks, and I'm going to quote him, as he said, do not have the mental capabilities to succeed at our level, Well, I was like, really? I just spent a week around him, and I thought, I think he's going to be just fine. Trust me on this, he's going to be just fine. James Harris was a quiet man, and he had a hard time dealing with the media because it was just a barrage of L.A. media around the Rams. They were more of a running team than a throwing team. And
he was a drop back.
He was straight drop back in the same idea, but with a cannon of an arm.
He came from Grambling also.
He did. He came from Grambling also. But they're trying to shatter the, they're trying to break through and do what all the white quarterbacks had always done. We're doing it at least as well as you, if not a little better than you. No, we're not ready. And there was Marlon Briscoe.
He was the first full-time starter, but he was more athletic. He was more of a mobile quarterback that moved us around. And then you had Joe Gilliam up in Pittsburgh.
Yes, he was. And
Broadway Joe.
He was at Tennessee State when I was at Vanderbilt.
Yes.
And he was going back and forth with Terry Bradshaw and starting for the Steelers in Terry's early years. So it took a while. But once the floodgates opened on the black quarterback, I feel like they opened pretty heavily here because all of a sudden I look down at the list of black quarterbacks now taken over in the first round. Or let's just do we can do both. We can do the first overalls and the first round. there are 29 total that have gone. I'm sorry, 25 total have gone in the first round.
Okay.
It's pretty good, and every year it gets a little more and a little more and a little more. And the first overalls, just to remind everybody, we got our man Michael Vick.
He was the first, if I'm not mistaken, black quarterback selected #1 overall.
Okay, Jamarcus Russell didn't work out, but he went #1 overall. Cam Newton did work out. He went first in 2011. Jameis has been a little hit and miss, but he went first overall in 15. And then Kyler, we don't know the outcome of Kyler.
But he did win Offensive Rookie of the Year, same as Jameis.
He did, and he's made 2 Pro Bowls.
Correct.
So I would call Kyler a success.
Okay.
I know he's had his issues in Arizona, but he is a success story so far, and he obviously went #1 overall. And then we go back to some of the early first-round picks. You competed against Steve McNair.
I did. I think he went 3rd overall.
He did go 3rd overall. And Achilles Smith, Steve McNair was 95, 99. Achilles Smith went 3rd overall and didn't work out. I missed Andre Ware was the Heisman winner.
He came out my year in 90. I think he went 7th to Detroit.
He did. You got it. Good memory. Very good memory. And was okay, but not great.
Right.
But still, you can see it coming. Then Don McNabb, obviously, was #2 in 99. And then really, here it went. And just this past year, just for the record, I counted up 19 black quarterbacks who started games in the National Football League. 19 different black quarterbacks started games.
Right.
I would say that's progress. I would say that's a good number. And as we project forward, this coming draft, it's going to be C.J. Stroud and